Whether you're a small business owner curious about modern marketing or a creative person looking to start or help businesses, these are the thoughts, techniques, and experiments to keep your knowledge base growing. All right, with us today we have Mr. Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer, and I have been excited to talk to Ian for a long time. When I first started my business, one of the top questions I had was how to basically use things that are other people's, perhaps maybe music or videos in your own marketing material. And today I have Ian. Ian, thank you very much for being here today. How are you?
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Phil. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So just a little background here. How did you get into law and specifically social media law?
Well, way back when I really enjoyed doing research and then doing speeches or performances. I did it in college. I was trying to figure out a way to do it for a living. And I always thought I might be a newscaster or something like that. But then I realized you don't write your own copy. So I fell into the law. I started working for a local politician in California, actually the governor of California. And I really enjoyed that. Got into law school and learned that in trial advocacy, you basically research, wrote, and then performed, so to speak. And then really just started to love it. I was a federal prosecutor for a period of time, then got into civil law. Did that for about 20 years worth of civil litigation and business insurance, that type of litigation. And then back in 2018 or so, I saw my daughter, bless her heart, watching tons of YouTube and kind of really getting into it myself and us having a camaraderie about YouTube. And then I said, there aren't a whole bunch of lawyers here on this platform. So I did some research for about 3 months because I just assumed it was saturated and there was no way that I could ever, break in. But I learned that there really are only a fair amount of successful lawyers on YouTube and on social media in general. And so I was like, gosh, this might be a good time to jump in because I like researching, writing, and then, performing, so to speak. So that's what we did. We started in 2018. I started early with business and insurance type videos. Really didn't get a lot of traction on that. And then what happened is I started getting more and more creator friends. And I realized, my gosh, there is such a hurdle for these people who literally are making videos starting at 12 years old in their bedrooms. And then they start getting 2 million subscriptions and start making lots of money. And they have absolutely no understanding of the law, what tax laws are affecting, what social media laws are relevant. And so I started to go, gosh, I did a little work for my friend here and, oh yeah, you should check this out on this statute. And then eventually I started saying, maybe I should just start doing my channel about social media law. And I typed in social media law. And at the time, I mean, my goodness, it was a handful. There was only, I think the website URL was purchased, but everything else was pretty, slim. So I was like, I think I'm going to focus on social media law. And so I did that for a period of a year and a half or so. And then eventually it started to take off so much that I was able to leave my practice. And now I primarily am a social media lawyer online, doing Zoom calls and podcasts and videos like we're doing right now, and really enjoying the fact that I get to help creators understand the law and, most importantly, protect their artistic freedom, because I'm starting to see a lot of the social media platforms be much more stringent about what they allow.
Yeah, I cannot believe there aren't more people in your space as large of a part as this plays in every business community now. It feels like if you're not trying to explore things on social media, then you're really missing out on an opportunity to connect with communities and clients and just all types of people. So, as I said, again, thank you very much because you're able to answer some of these questions with your YouTube videos that I'm
Mhm.
trying to address with my clients. So that's very nice. So thank you. But as far as talking about clients, what would you
Mhm.
say your typical client looks like if there is even a typical client?
Yeah, my typical client is actually a larger creator on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, potentially LinkedIn. LinkedIn is growing right now. The reason for that generally is that law services cost money, and so that it's at a higher price point. And so a lot of times these are the people that really can afford to pay me to do the work. However, I'm really dedicated. I really believe in a balanced practice, and I really want to help people give a lot of value for free too, because there's a lot of creators that are just getting started. They need to have answers, answers to questions. And so that's really what the YouTube channel is designed to do, is to give creators answers to questions. They can certainly go to iancorzine.com and schedule a consult with me, or purchase one of my legal templates to help them out. I try to kind of help out as they need it, and as they can afford it. And so primarily we're looking at larger creators, 500,000 and above subscribers, those people who have kind of businesses behind their channels or their accounts.
That's great.
Yeah,
Now, as far as their location, I'm guessing you're dealing mostly with people in the United States. Does I know you're in California, correct?
I am LA. Mhm.
Okay, so do you find that most of your clients are from California, and does that really have a huge bearing on whether you can help or not help a client?
Really a good point. Obviously, lawyers in America are jurisdictional. Like I'm licensed to practice in California and the federal courts. So that's really important. But when you move into social media law, it really becomes a wide spectrum because you're dealing with laws from the EU, you're dealing with laws from Australia. Obviously, America kind of leads the way. So the answer to the question is I actually have clients in all different countries. And again, because my practice is really specific to being a creator and having to maneuver the laws that affect you, the fact that I am a creator and a lot of the concepts that I discuss, I've already faced, like getting a copyright claim, or luckily never gotten a copyright strike. I'm knocking on wood here,
Right.
but I can take people through legitimately the practical side of it, and then also speak to the law that affects it. So yeah, my perfect client is a larger creator. Really, location doesn't matter. I have clients that are in New Zealand. I have clients that are in Japan, a lot in America, of course, because we can connect better that way. But yeah, that's kind of where I sit as far as that.
Okay. I definitely want to get into how you decided to go ahead and market yourself on YouTube and that plan. But first, I do want to kind of get into perhaps some of the, let's maybe in between those people that are just starting and then those people that are over that 500,000 subscriber.
Mm.
So maybe what's one frequent question or problem you see from someone starting out? And then maybe what's one from that larger, someone that has that larger audience already?
Yeah, I mean, to be, absolutely direct, and I love to be direct. I just serve two pain points. One is really, not losing your channel, and one is kind of having your channel succeed. And so with the subscriber people that are just starting, first of all, I so encourage it. I mean, a lot of people talk about saturation and those things. Social media is one of those places where actually, if you specify and you get real, narrow in your niche, you can succeed with regardless. But I will say this: the key advice for a small creator at this stage is two things. One is look at a competitor in your field, someone who's doing Star Wars videos or animation or something like that, and just find the perfect person, the person that's most close to what you want to do, and then emulate them. That is really and it doesn't mean like copy word for word what they say, but just look at the colors they use. Look at what episodes they examine if it's a Star Wars thing. Try to copy what they do on social media, and that way you can really kind of find that audience that you need. Secondarily, the other part too is I get a lot of questions from people about review. And what I mean by review is a big thing on YouTube is reviewing other things. So it would be copyrighted material generally, right?
Mhm.
And so way back when in 2010, I mean, review and reaction channels just blew up. We found out that people like a review of a TV episode, or they like reaction to the latest Drake video, and those blew up. Well, what ends up happening over time is that a lot of review and reaction is contrary to copyright law. And so it started to expand. And so the social media platforms started to contract and be more restrictive of this content. So I would say this: you certainly can start a review channel today. The point of it is that for the foreseeable future, year, 2 years, I think you can get away. There's certain concepts that I can teach you to be able to help you get your review channel and not get copyright claims or copyright strikes. However, I will say this: if I was starting a new online business right now, I would not be starting a review channel because if you just look it over to Europe right now, they're getting more and more stringent about use of copyrighted material in your videos, in your audio, in your podcast. So those are the two things I would really focus on for a newer creator.
Excellent. Yeah, I noticed that here recently, your videos have been a lot more focused over the past couple months and even leading into more recently. You deal with COPPA a lot, fair use, and keeping your YouTube videos up. Kind of sustaining that
Yeah,
channel
yeah.
as you were talking about. Before we kind of dig into the marketing side of things, with COPPA, with fair use, what is a problem that you feel is going to potentially be a problem for creators here in the near future, or maybe something they should keep an eye out for?
Well, I mean, with respect to COPPA in America, at least, it doesn't look like we're moving to a time period where people who want to create content for children are going to be able to do that freely. The law is really draconian and really makes it very difficult, given our current technology and the way that our platform communicates with our viewers, to be able to make that kind of content and monetize it. YouTube is doing their best on it, but if you are a child creator, most of the advice I'm giving to my child creator clients is to work on YouTube Kids. Try to make a relationship with YouTube. Try to be a sanctioned creator there. You can make your money there because it's a cultivated platform. So yeah, so I guess another piece of advice for new YouTubers is I don't know if I would start a kids channel right now. As far as fair use goes, gosh, I mean, that's such a question, right? I mean, I'm a huge proponent of fair use. And the reason why is if you do the research, you find that from the beginning of time, we've all been kind of a derivative art culture. You've seen that, flag on the wall behind you, and you've drawn your own picture that inspired you, and you did an H instead of a W. Okay. So that just is with humanity. And so, are we on? We're still on, right? You froze here.
Oh,
Oh, okay. We're still on. Good. I just want to make sure.
yeah. Okay. Well, we're
All
gonna
right.
keep rolling.
All right. Good.
Hopefully that face works for people.
No, yeah, but look, it's a good smile.
There we
Oh,
go. There we
there
go.
you go. No worries. I just want to make sure. So with fair use, I believe that it's a really legitimate expression of an artist, and I think that even if you look at the most original art in the history of time, you'll find they were influenced by other people. So what fair use basically is allowing other copyrighted material to be used in your own creation without the permission from the original copyright holder. So the problem with fair use is that it is acknowledged almost a freedom of expression right. However, it is subjective. What use is fair is really determined by humans. And right now, YouTube has done their best to program computers to analyze the fair use question, but it's really rarely accurate. And it almost can't be. It's almost a human concept. So what are we going to see? There's a couple options. One is to do away with copyrighted content in other content, in videos and audio podcasts. And that's kind of what's happening in Europe right now. There is certainly provision in European law for fair use, but the point of it is that if you make a social media platform liable to the same extent as the creator from creating copyrighted content or using copyrighted content, then the platform is really not motivated to put fair use content on their platform because it's a subjective decision. Who knows? They could be liable, they could be not. And these days, litigation is so costly that the mere filing and service of a lawsuit is enough to make people move and to think, and oh my God, I got to hire attorneys. So the point of it is that we're going to see some changes in the future. And if they're going to try to get really clear on if fair use is applicable, then they're going to have to either have a lot more human reviewers or they're going to have to do away with the concept entirely. It's becoming too big a concept. It's getting too the law is getting too much violated as a result of our current social media situation, and it's getting even more so now that we're at home and using social media more.
There's such a gray cloud over everything, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there that are like they're never going to flag or well, flagging has changed a lot in recent history too. They have
True.
those algorithms and computers that can do that, but they're just not worried about it because there's so much content out there that they just don't feel like there's a huge worry there for them.
Sure.
But I could pick your brain for hours just on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I do want to get to your own marketing because
Yeah.
you are a practitioner of what you are practicing. I mean, like
Yeah.
both on the law side and the social media and creator.
Yeah.
So when you kind of made that transition and you saw that you were getting traction with Social Media Lawyer, did you have a plan as far as how you wanted to portray yourself on YouTube or some specifics about the channel, or was it more of a let's just go for it and see what happens type mentality?
I think you know the answer to that question, Phil. It was just a let's just go for it.
Yeah.
It's getting easier to not do that in social media because there's more and more guides and help and books on it, and teachers out there. But even as far as 2018, 2017, there just wasn't a lot of help. And there also isn't a lot, I said, one of the first things you should do is look for your competition and copy that. Well, at the time, there certainly was no competition. I mean, there wasn't any social media lawyer that it was like the best one and that Ian is following that trend. So you really have to do it. I think the real important thing is, I don't care if you have 20 subscribers or if you have 200,000. I do think that you gotta acknowledge the principle that you really should run your social media like a business, because the problem what you end up finding, and this is, I'm talking about, I'm being vulnerable. This is what I face. You get into social media and it really out of insecurity. It's so neat. You get such an adrenaline boost from getting, 1,000 views of a video, and you start to think less about what you want to communicate to people and more about what will get you those views. So a lot of people start with that concept. They start with, oh my gosh, I love Star Wars and I'm going to do a Star Wars channel. And oh my God, I got, 500 views in my video. That's great. Um, but I do think that you got to get more comfortable with yourself in the beginning and realize, okay, what are we really doing this for? If your goal is to be a comedian and likes really help you get gigs outside of YouTube, or they somehow make you more money, then that's one thing. But for most of us, I think that the main reason that we can use social media now for a limited time, by the way, because they're all free. These platforms are free. At some point, they won't be. At some point, it's going to be $19.95 a month to use and or publish on YouTube. It's just going to happen. I mean, it's just crazy. So we have to be able to use these platforms for our business. And so if you start off with a business model at that approach, in my case, I offer online consults and legal templates. And so my videos are geared towards that. That's as far as marketing goes. I want to give out value. I want to help people. If they can't afford my stuff, no problem. They can get some value out of it. But if they can, then they can certainly go to my website at iancorzine.com and get those things. So I think it's important to start out with a business mindset and realize that, the like thing, the subscriber thing, the views thing, it's pretty empty, actually.
Right. And, the platforms have all, I basically have to keep an eye on the side of what the social media platforms are doing, just so I can kind of be aware of, helping my clients, or at least not steering in the opposite direction when these changes are coming.
Yeah.
So you said you offer some templates online and things like that. What are some of the more common templates that are downloaded, and, what are they for? And, how are they helping clients?
Yeah, I find a lot of people start their YouTube channels with one or two people or three, and so partnership agreements, shareholder agreements. I also advise that all, even from the beginning. I mean, maybe your first 100 subscribers you don't do this, but over time that you form an LLC in your local jurisdiction. And a lot of that it stems from the fact that there are some liabilities in doing this. I just came out with a video this week all about freedom of speech, and you get love and you get hate, and sometimes when you're just riffing, you might say something that could be construed as defamatory content, and if that happens, you could get sued. And if you get sued right now, if you don't have some sort of liability protector in front of you, it's going to be Ian Corzine is going to be in the lawsuit, as opposed to Ian Corzine LLC or whatever the LLC is applicable. So that's another thing, an area of corporate formation. And then I also have a lot of stuff that relates to, the actual shooting of videos, whether it be a collab agreement. I always think it's good when creators want to do a collab, great, but really understand that the number one reason to do it is fun. There's not a whole, it's not like, there's a couple examples of people that have done a video with another person and now they have 10,000 more subscribers. Great. But guess what happened? You start to lose those subscribers and it's even worse, and your channel suffers from it. So it really should be a similar, a collab partner done for fun. And there should be a one-to-one relationship. There really should be, you do a video for me and I do a video for you, and there should be an agreement. So I have those type of agreements. Would it be appearance release agreements, location agreements, everything that a YouTuber, Instagrammer, maybe has to do a brand deal, wants in their arsenal, I have on my template store. And what I do is, it's better to obviously have a lawyer draft your brand deal or negotiate it. I mean, it's the best, but I realize that not everybody can afford it. So the kind of second best would be to have my agreement that I drafted. I spent many, many hours drafting and trying to custom for social media creators to be able to have that. They can use that. At least they can get some beginning rights protected. And then over time, as they start to make, $35,000 brand deals and $100,000 brand deals, then they can lean on to me and say, Ian, I got your template. I need to make certain changes. Can you help me with that? And then I can work with them one-on-one.
I mean, it's an unbelievable resource, and it sounds like,
Thanks.
in the area of the world that you're in, the
Yeah.
kind of the production landscape that might be there in Southern California has really kind of set the template for all of social media and just kind of these working. So I can see where that would translate pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, something you also talk about on your channel are like current events and people that are in the news.
Yeah.
Is there a either one of your videos or a case that you found particularly interesting, either because it was so unique or it was just maybe wrong?
Well, I'm just thinking about my video of this week, all on the first, whether or not there's free speech on social media, and that's on YouTube. But just go to my channel, Ian Corzine. Um, I think I'm thinking of PragerU versus the Google case or YouTube case. The reason why I'm thinking about it is because I'm just going to try to make the concepts pretty brief. The First Amendment in America guards free speech, and certainly a lot of other countries in the world have in their constitutions the right to free speech, and it's limited. It depends on the country you're in, various ways. What I think that the First Amendment concept basically is they don't want the government unduly censoring the public for fear of creating panic, of misinformation, of a bad society, plagued by big groups that have money. However, so it's a government thing. However, there is a portion of society that I believe should be regulated in the same way. And that has to do with social media. Right now, the law is, according to the recent decision by the Ninth Circuit, that the social media platforms have the right. They're both a distributor of content, and they can both also pick what's on their platform, which is kind of contrary to prior law, but that's what they say. And I don't know that I have to say, that the social media platforms should have no right to they're private businesses. They should have a right to put what they want on their platform. But there has to be a recognition of reality these days that social media has replaced, our street corners, virtually, especially now with the advent of this horrible crisis. We're not out. We're not doing protests in person, and so there has to be some recognition in the future in the law for the ability for people to have a civil discussion about ideas, again, ideas, wrong, crazy, smart, conservative, liberal, proactive, whatever they are, but a discussion on social media for that. And there has to be some ability to limit social media's ability to take down those discussions, because it's getting kind of lame right now. It's getting to the point now where, I don't know if you've seen the recent videos, but people are not referring to the crisis, the virus, by its name, and for the very fear that their media will be taken down. And now YouTube's going as far as, people will say, like, they'll call, Viva Fry says, my Sharona, what does he say? My Sharona Cyrus or something. That's how he calls it. But now YouTube is searching for that, my Sharona, because it's obviously a stand-in for the coronavirus. So anyway, my point of it is that I think that is the big case right now. And I do think that over time, there will be more and more recognition that social media is a quasi-public forum. And there should be limits on social media platforms to allow free expression, because especially now they're saying, stay home and go on the internet, and they're not letting us express ourselves. It's getting to feel a little, like I said, draconian.
Yeah, it's where do you draw that line, because it is a private business, but
Agreed.
also with the First Amendment, it's really a problem, and people aren't exactly sure. As you said, they're even frightened to even mention their topics that they're talking about. And
Yeah.
I will be keeping an eye on your channel for that specific purpose, but I do want to encourage anyone that your catalog is huge of videos
Thank you.
and topics that you've covered, and you do a great job explaining it, just as you're doing today. So I really
Thanks.
would encourage anyone to visit your YouTube channel. And actually, I think I found you through Instagram, and you responded to me very quickly, and I saw that your presence was on YouTube, so I follow
Thanks.
you there as well. But
Thank you.
now I just wanted to wrap up real quick. What are you working on right now, and do you have an ask of anybody that might be watching or listening?
Well, thank you so much. What I'm working on right now is actually a book. Really want to talk about freedom of expression and social media, and I really want to help creators understand the law. There's been a lot of YouTube books, been a lot of social media law books, or social media books, and there's even a social media law book, but there's not been one that kind of puts the two concepts together, kind of like what I do on my YouTube channel, which is I've done it, and here's the reason why I've done it. These laws apply, and no book has done that. They either are just good YouTubers and they have good practices, or they're a social media law and it's kind of dry. It's just like, this is the law and this is the case that says that. So that's the plan there, is to offer that as another kind of help for creators. And then of course to just expand my catalog and listen to my creator audience and say, hey, what do you need help with? Because that's really my first question when I'm doing these videos. It's 12 at night, I'm in a room alone, a camera, and I'm like, what am I doing here? And my next question is, well, why, what do creators need? What can I do to help them? So that's kind of the first thing I do. And then I hope for the best. And hopefully, some of the advice and the 20 years of experience I have will come into play, and I'll be able to help people.
Well, thank you once again for joining me, and thank you for such an excellent resource. As you said, coming into this as a creator, you thought maybe there was a lot of people in this space, and even if there were, you can put your own unique spin on it. I
Sure.
think you do a good job, and I think it's also kind of a testament to people to just go ahead and put yourself out there. Even if you're a small business, just start trying. And if you have any questions, come to Ian, because as I said, he was very responsive. He was very kind in coming on today.
Yeah.
And look out for Ian's book, hopefully coming here sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm
And
excited.
keep up with everything he's doing, because it's a wealth of knowledge, and not too many people can answer it quite like Ian does. So Ian Corzine, iancorzine.com, correct?
Yeah, iancorzine.com. And then on YouTube, it's just Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer. On Instagram, it's your social media lawyer. You can just type in Ian Corzine on LinkedIn and Pinterest and all the other platforms. But I'd be happy to help you. And I just want to tell you, all the creators out there, if it's early in your career, if you're not getting the views, just keep on pushing. I will say this, above all else, consistency works. I swear to God. Some people say, oh gosh, I like your videos, Ian. And I go, well, thank you. I do work hard on them, but I will tell you this, a lot of it just consistency, just showing up every week or twice a week or whatever it ends up being, because over time, people will start to hear about you and you'll start to grow. So now is the time. Start your channel right now. And if you ever need any advice, talk to Phil or I.
Yeah. Well, you heard it from the lawyer. Don't be scared. No excuses. No excuses. Get out there, everybody. Well, thank you, Ian, for joining us again today, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks so much, man.